Hey everyone! Welcome to The Young and the Restless. I'm Jane, and I'm so excited to have you here. If you love Young and the Restless, then you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Alright, let's dive right in. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Jack realizes Kane is his real brother, and Diane is worried. The walls of Genoa City are ready to come tumbling down as Jack Abbott uncovers a heartbreaking discovery that might change everything. Kane Ashby is his biological brother. The truth, buried for decades, emerges in the most unexpected way, leaving Jack reeling as he considers the repercussions. For years, Jack assumed he knew his family's secrets, but this shocking revelation demonstrates that some falsehoods are deeper than anyone realized. The clues had been there, subtle indications in old archives, cryptic remarks from those who remembered the past, and an eerie likeness between Jack and Kane that no one had truly questioned. However, when a long-lost document reveals that Kane is the illegitimate son of the late John Abbott and a lady from his past, Jack's life is flipped upside down. Jack initially refuses to believe it. The idea that his father had another son, which he never acknowledged, feels like a betrayal. However, as additional proof emerges, he is unable to deny the reality. Kane, whom he formerly regarded as a competition, a problem, and even an adversary at times, shares his blood. The understanding hits him like a ton of bricks, and every previous quarrel between them takes on new significance. Was Kane's presence in Genoa City more than a coincidence? Had he always known the truth? Jack's mind rushes as he tries to put together the past, but one thing is certain, this revelation will split the Abbott family in ways no one expected. Meanwhile, Jack's wife, Diane Jenkins, observes with mounting concern as Jack becomes captivated by the discovery. She understands how important family is to him, and the idea that John Abbott had a secret child shocks her to the core. Diane has worked hard to establish her place in the Abbott dynasty, and now that another successor is on the way, she is concerned that everything she has built may be jeopardized. Will Kane attempt to take his birthright? Will this pull Jack apart? Diane's mind is racing with worst-case scenarios, and she is determined to keep Jack, and her own future, safe from the consequences. However, with emotions running high and secrets unraveling, containing the damage may be impossible. As Jack struggles to accept the truth, Billy Abbott explodes with rage. The idea that Kane, a man with whom he has often clashed, could be his brother is too much to take. He lashes out, accusing Kane of manipulating his way into the family, while Kane, taken aback by the revelation, insists he was completely unaware. But will they believe him? Victoria Newman, caught in the midst, is divided between loyalty to Kane and concern for the Abbott family's well-being. And with Phyllis Summers constantly lurking in the shadows, waiting to exploit any weakness, the situation is ripe to erupt. The Abbotts have previously endured betrayals, scandals, and stunning twists, but this could be the one that finally wrecks them. As Jack confronts Kane, Diane attempts to control the damage, and Billy's rage threatens to escalate. The question remains, will this discovery bring long-lost brothers together or destroy the Abbott legacy forever? The tension in Genoa City reached a boiling point when Jack Abbott erupted in rage at what he saw as Billy's ultimate betrayal, a schism that had been simmering for months finally erupting into a full-fledged clash that left both men stunned. Jack had always seen Billy as more than a brother. He saw him as a partner, confidant, and someone he could entrust with the Abbott family's heritage. But when proof arose that Billy had been working behind the scenes to destroy Jabot Cosmetics, Jack's wrath erupted. The treachery wounded deep, not only because of the professional sabotage, but because it seemed like a personal stab in the back from someone he had repeatedly championed. The dispute was heated, with Jack accusing Billy of greed, disloyalty, and open betrayal, while Billy countered that Jack had become too domineering, unwilling to listen to fresh ideas, and too ready to discard Billy's contributions. The shouting match boomed through the corridors of the Abbott home, garnering the attention of other family members, who could only watch in startled silence as the two men ripped into one another with years of pent-up rage. It was more than just business, it was about respect, family, and the unspoken expectations that had fallen heavily on both of them for far too long. Jack's voice trembled with rage as he demanded to know how Billy could explain his actions, while Billy, also enraged, argued that Jack's tight leadership had left him with no alternative but to take matters into his own hands. The repercussions was quick and serious, with Jack threatening to fire Billy from the company totally, a move that would send shockwaves throughout the family and the corporate world alike. Meanwhile, Billy, despite his defiance, couldn't disguise a trace of sadness in his eyes. He knew he had crossed a boundary, but his pride wouldn't allow him back down now. The harm had been done, and the Abbott brothers' once unbreakable link was now hanging by a thread, casting doubt on the future of their relationship and Chabot's. As Jack and Billy's feud went on, another storm was developing between Phyllis Summers and Sharon Newman, a battle of wills that strained Sharon's tolerance to the breaking point. Phyllis, who never shied away from stirring the fire, had been making subtle, and not so subtle, jabs at Sharon for weeks, her motivations opaque but her tactics persistent. Phyllis seems determined to get under Sharon's skin, whether by criticizing her decisions at Crimson Lights, making nasty remarks about her parenting, or throwing cryptic hints about her history. Sharon had initially tried to dismiss it, convincing herself that Phyllis was simply being Phyllis, provocative, unpredictable, and impossible to ignore. However, as the weeks passed, the incessant needling grew more difficult to reject, and Sharon became increasingly agitated. The breaking point occurred when Phyllis made a pointed remark about Sharon's mental health issues in front of a group of common acquaintances, a low blow Sharon couldn't take. Sharon confronted Phyllis in private, demanding to know what her problem was, her voice steady but her eyes filled with simmering rage. Phyllis, the master of deflection, smirked and pretended to be innocent, claiming she was only joking and Sharon needed to loosen up. But Sharon wasn't buying it. She knew Phyllis too well to fall for the ruse. The tension between them was palpable, a silent war of wills as Sharon refused to back down and Phyllis refused to accept fault. It was a risky game, with the potential to rekindle old scars and resurrect old rivalries. Sharon, who is normally the voice of reason, found it difficult to maintain her cool in the face of Phyllis's constant provocations. Everyone was wondering how long Sharon could keep her temper under control before snapping. And what did Phyllis really want? Was this just her normal love of mayhem, or was there something more motivating her actions? Whatever the case, one thing was certain, Phyllis was playing with fire, and Sharon was running out of excuses to stay back. Elsewhere in Genoa City, Nick Newman got into a furious argument with Kane Ashby, a guy he had once considered a friend but now perceived as a threat. What is the source of the tension? Kane's growing connection to Nick's sister, Victoria, was something Nick looked with distrust. Kane had always been a charming, smooth-talking figure, but Nick was all too aware of how quickly charm could turn into manipulation, especially with the Newmans. Victoria had gone through enough heartache, and Nick was not ready to stand by and watch her be harmed again. Nick pulled Kane aside and made his position clear: back off. His tone was harsh, his look unwavering, as he cautioned Kane that no games or hidden objectives would be tolerated. Kane, ever the diplomat, attempted to dismiss Nick's concerns, claiming that his intentions with Victoria were sincere and that Nick was overreacting. But Nick wasn't buying it. He'd seen and been through too much to believe Kane's words. The talk became contentious as Nick's protectiveness clashed with Kane's claim that he had every right to seek a relationship with Victoria if she wanted one. Nick's warning was loaded with an underlying threat: cross the line, and there will be consequences. Kane, despite appearing cool, couldn't conceal the spark of displeasure in his eyes. He was not used to being challenged, especially by someone who had previously been an ally. The standoff between the two guys was fraught with implicit anger, a nonverbal acknowledgement that the situation was far from ended. Nick's devotion to his sister was unwavering, and he would go to any length to defend her, even if it meant breaking up relations with Kane. Meanwhile, Kane, being careful not to exacerbate the situation more, left the conversation with a quiet determination of his own. He was not going to let Nick govern his life, no matter how powerful the Newman name was. The stage was set for a clash of wills, one that would test loyalties, reveal hidden agendas, and drive both men to confront how far they were willing to go. As the drama played out across Genoa City, the citizens' intertwined lives collided in unexpected ways. Jack's explosive showdown with Billy shattered the Abbott family, with the consequences likely to reverberate for months to come. Phyllis's mind games drove Sharon to the brink, forcing her to choose between taking the high road or ultimately giving Phyllis a taste of her own medicine. And Nick's warning to Kane set the scenario for a power struggle that could either fade out or turn into a full-blown war. The city was a hotbed of emotions, with alliances shifting, secrets surfacing, and long-buried resentments suddenly coming to light. In a world where loyalty was everything and betrayal was never forgotten, the stakes had never been higher. Every word, deed, and decision was important, and the consequences would affect everyone. Jack, Phyllis, Sharon, Nick, Billy, and Kane were all involved in a high-stakes game with ever-changing rules, and the one certainty was that nothing would ever be the same again. The suspense was strong, the drama unrelenting, and everyone's mind was focused on one question: who would be left standing when the dust settled?